Ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Can you do a countdown or something?
No.
It feels rude. All right, ready? Hold on. Jeez. Just kidding. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. We got another, this is in high demand right now. We've got our second iteration of top 20% video, and it's not actually in high demand, but I'm hoping it will get high demand eventually. Today, I'm bringing the heat. We had brought the smoke last week with Alexis, brought the heat this week with Jeanne Osness. And Jeanne, you may know, she's done so much. People know her because she's famous. She's KW famous. So, hey, welcome, Jeanne.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Tell us, give somebody a frame of reference, because I know you very well, but kind of what have you done, or what's your thing?
So for the last 8 years, I've been a MAPS executive coach and working with a lot of the top 100 in Gary's masterminds. And then I've also, most people know me because of the courses that I've written. I had the privilege of working with Gary Keller writing Profit Camp, which I know we're bringing to the Carolinas here in March.
Yep.
MAPS models, and had the opportunity to rewrite, and now I deliver Coaches Skills Camp. So those are kind of the things that I'm out there for. That, and I guess based on what you said, I'm just kind of famous.
So that's interesting. So you mentioned Profit Camp. The things you mentioned are probably, I mean, don't get the big head, but they're probably some of the more important things that you could attend in Keller. So I know what Profit Camp is, and we'll touch that at the end to invite people to that. Models is what? MAPS models.
So, yeah, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. So Gary and I were meeting with a few other people one day, and what we were talking about is that we have so many models for leadership and for agents in Keller Williams, and yet we don't have one place to go to for those, to learn a little bit about what they are and have a resource available to us. So Gary tasked me with writing the MAPS models course with Matt Teeter. So
nice.
he does a lot on the leadership side. I take the agent side, and we've compiled all of the models that Keller Williams has into one course, into one notebook, so that you can have access to all of those. And we touch on every single one of those, just about every one of them, to kind of just give a wide brushstroke, like this is what this one does, this is what it's for. But they're all in one place, which people seem to really enjoy. That's
incredible. So I always joke, I don't know, it's not a joke because it's real, but I'm always like, we got this giant toolbox at Keller. We're known for the giant toolbox, but there's so much in the toolbox. I'm like, I don't know what to pick up.
And people don't know where to go to get those things. So we put them all in one place.
Nice. And how frequently is that one offered?
It's about 3 times a year. So I think we have another one coming up in, I think it's like maybe April, May, somewhere in there.
Okay. So MAPS models, Profit Camp, and what was the last one you said?
Coaches Skills Camp.
Oh, that is good.
That's
yes. Really good.
And we're starting to write Advanced Skills Camp, which we will deliver later this year.
That's awesome. Coaches Skills Camp, we give them just a blurb about Coaches Skills Camp, what that is.
Yeah, so we all coach people in our lives, whether we think that we're a coach, whether we have a title of a coach. We have opportunities where we're mentoring, coaching, or maybe training. Mm-hmm. And so Coaching Skills Camp is really designed to help you to actually learn how to coach versus train or mentor, using different models, different language, different mindset for those things, so that you can be better leader, better coach, better spouse, right, parent. It's really versatile in the different things that we teach, how to implement those into your life.
It's so neat. So I think I've done that one 3 times. I don't think I've done the newer version, but I think I did it 3 times. And every time you walk away like, whoa. I mean, there's NLP stuff and like all kinds of, you're touching on different stuff that's just mind blowing.
Yeah. We're
so
touching
cool.
a lot. Yeah.
All right. So I think, so let's finish on that stuff. What I think in the Keller system, what you're most known for is the coaching that you've delivered. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, somehow you ended up being the profit girl. Yep. So a lot of what you do is you talk to teams and you help them create efficiencies, or maybe you tell me what you do, but that's my perception. And then we get higher profit with the same number of units, or like, how do we grow our business and scale it? So I was going to use today's opportunity to get with you and say, you're literally, you have been coaching top teams in the whole company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the names that we see on stage, and like, we don't have access to that as agents. So in our market centers here that we're working with, we can see them on stage, but what really, I want to know, give me some tips and tricks and what you're seeing is working or not working. It'd be super helpful.
What's working and not working for the
teams.
agents?
Yeah, or for agents on the teams. And I don't want to cram too much into this, but there's this misconception that if you join a team, you're accepting a smaller life as a buyer's agent. And you've said to me some of the levels that people are at as buyer's agents or listing agents. So drop some of that on us if you can at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, my specialty is profit, which also came from a conversation with Gary. But really helping the rainmakers, particularly, to focus on the profit versus just the production. We got to stay on profit focus, because that's why we all got into business to begin with, is to actually make a profit. So if you don't want to make a profit, you should probably just, like, I don't know, go get a job. So we really focus on, so we focus on that, and then how to have your team members also increase their profit. It's not about doing more transactions necessarily. It's about really working your business smart, doing the right things, which we'll get into here a little bit, but also knowing why you're doing this. It's because it's so that we can have those bigger lives, those businesses worth owning, careers worth having, those life worth living. And so my whole thing is about, let's create lives worth living for everybody on the team. Because if you're doing this, 24 hours a day, 12 days a week, you're not having a life. So making sure we're doing the right activities that actually drive the profit versus just drive busyness. Because there's a lot of busy agents out there that are also probably going to have to go get a job because they're actually not making any profit.
And we saw that happen. What was that, 3-4 years ago, where Gary kind of put this kabush on? He's like, nope, not doing that anymore.
That's right.
That's crazy. So you just touched on this, and this resonates with me because I'm hearing it a lot with agents in the market centers that I'm involved with. But you said the word burnout. Are these top teams experiencing that same thing, where like the tide's rising and just like get as much as we can and people are just frying themselves? Or are they feeling that as well?
I'm seeing some are and some are not. It's that whole, I don't mean to be just so quaint here, but it's that whole work smarter versus harder.
Yeah.
Because we're also in a highly competitive business right now, because every other barista now has their real estate license. True. And so we're having to fight more to get those buyers and get those sellers. And so what I find is those that are actually not going into overwhelm or not like having fun with this anymore are people that are getting back to the basics. And you hear Gary talk about this a lot. It's about your database. It's all about your database. That's the only asset that you have, is your database. And the more that we love on that database, and I've heard you say it a lot, of like deposit, come from curiosity, come from what can I do for you? What problems do you have that I can solve? Not just, hey, do you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? That's a withdrawal versus a deposit. So those that are getting back to the basics and really honing in on, who are your top 100? Everybody on the team, every producing agent should have their top 100 and love on them like none other. I mean, like all but, short of your kids. What can you do to help their lives? I don't care if it's find them a dog walker or their next investment property. We need to be the problem solvers. And also those that are really excelling are those that are becoming the local market expert. And we've talked about this forever. It's in MREA, become the local market expert. What does that mean? What's happening in our town? What's happening? What events are happening in our town? What's happening with the housing market? Because if you're only listening to the news, not only are you getting a global you're getting global information, you're also probably not getting the right information.
That's right.
The news is created to get more viewers, so therefore they're only going to talk about the slick and sexy or like the sky is falling kind of things.
Right.
And we got to stay with the basics. Get back to the basics, and that is love your database, feed it, meaning continue to grow it, and it will return. It's statistically proven that if you have enough touches that are deposit touches, staying in contact with them, loving on them, being that resource, being the local market expert, being able to actually answer those questions, if you're not doing that, you're just being a realtor. You're not being a business owner.
That's right, which is transactional, right? That's like, and that will be replaced by technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, eat it, people. That's going to happen.
Yeah. If you're only a transactional agent, technology can do that for us. This is still a belly to belly, face to face business, even in COVID world, even in digital world. It's still, they want to have a face to face relationship. They want relationships with people.
So honestly, what do you, so you really, I mean, it sounds crazy, but you really do coach big teams. How are they nurturing that relationship? Like what kind of, tell me maybe a couple examples if you can think of them that you're like, wow, they do X, which seems to build great relationships that our agents could implement.
Well, first of all, they're staying in contact. They're staying in contact, and which it seems like, well, duh. And yet it's really amazing how many agents I ask, do you do even a quarterly call? Well, no, but I try to. You know, when I'm driving in my car, I just go through my phone and I just stay in touch with people. And as a result, then one morning they walk out their front door and their next door neighbor that they just had a glass of wine with yesterday has a competitor sign in their front yard, because they're not being intentional about the conversations that they're having. So are you suggesting, like, I always joke and call it R2D2, but the call schedule where you're like, just set a schedule up so you're making sure to touch those people? Yeah. And if you have your top 100 to 150 people, you're probably only have to call 7 to 10 people a week. And by doing that, you will actually, if you divided them all up, your top people, you divide them all up, you're only having to call 7 to 10 people per week, which is basically 2 a day. And by doing that, and you do it on the DT2 schedule, you'll cover everybody every quarter. You know, it's interesting. That's so interesting that you said that, because I remember when you and I were coaching together, you used to ask me, are you chasing smoke or fire? And that's what happens to us as realtors, right? The phone rings, the text, there's urgency everywhere. Not necessarily importance, but there's a lot of urgency. So yeah, there's a lot of urgency. So the first thing is you gotta master your database. The second thing, or maybe even in the reverse order, is those that master their calendar are winning, meaning that they have set lead follow-up time that is non-negotiable, barring a family medical emergency. It is non-negotiable. We don't answer the phone, the text messages, emails. We also don't commingle lead generation with lead follow-up. That's a very slippery slope. But it's set and it's habitual. You do it every single day. It's kind of like working out. I work out every day at the same time. And if I don't do it even at the same time, even if I just change it to the afternoon versus in the morning, it just kind of throws everything off. You got to get into such a habitual routine of lead generation. You bake that so deep into your business that it becomes non-optional. And that gives you the power to say no to the whirlwind stuff, the smoke. Yeah. And it gives you power to say no to those things and say yes to the right things. I joke, I say it's the brushing your teeth, right? It's the involuntary muscle. It's like you do it so much. It's like you're half asleep and you're brushing your teeth. You're not sure how the toothpaste got on the toothbrush, but you're like, this is what I do right when I step out of bed. And I think that's, if we can get into a habit like that, really sets us free on the rest of the day. Well, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. Remember, it takes 10,000 hours to get to mastery, but I never think about how do I tie my shoes. It's so natural because I've done it so many times. So when you do the repetitive action over and over, you're training those muscles. It's going to come very naturally. And the reason that people don't do the lead generation, lead follow-up, Jeff, and I mean, you know this, is they don't know what to say. So what do I say? Are you talking about cultivating relationships or cold calling? Either. But if I'm going to focus primarily on cultivating my relationships. And that's nothing more than, what would you say if you were at a picnic with them in somebody's backyard? Use Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And people want to talk, especially in this COVID world. It's crazy how disconnected we've gotten. People want to talk, and they want to talk about themselves. So just ask them questions. How's your family? How's your job? What are you doing when you're not working? What do you want to be doing this year? Do you have plans for that? Where are you going to go? What do you want to achieve this year? People will talk if we would just stop long enough to actually listen.
I love that. And I'm thinking as you're saying that, like, I know there's a lot of agents out there that are like, I know I need to make more calls. That's like literally what people say. I need to make more calls, and then they just don't, right?
Mhm.
But you're actually talking about just having relationships with people.
It's having relationships with people and knowing what's going on in their life and in their world.
And where you plug in. Yeah, that's
You've got to know what's going on in their world. Like, for instance, I know that at in Asheville, you have an agent, Bill DeVore, who just had his first child, like yesterday, right? You got to know what's happening in their world so that you're not calling him to ask him, hey, do you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Instead, you're calling to say, I just saw on Facebook that baby Drew was born. Congratulations. How's the wife? And we're not even talking about real estate. We're just making a connection. We're having a relationship with them because people want to do business with people they have a relationship with.
That's right.
If all you ever talk about is homes and buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, you don't have a relationship. That's not a relationship.
Earn the right to talk about real estate. Right.
That's right.
I love that.
And you know how you earn the right and how you build rapport? You stop talking and you listen.
It's hard for me.
I know.
That's awesome. I mean, that was one of the things we worked on a lot. It's like you would say, he or she who talks the most loses. So shut up. Right.
Yeah.
So call people and ask questions. Don't call them to tell them it's a great time to buy or sell, because you may not know that it's a great time to buy or sell for them.
That's
without
right.
asking questions.
That's right.
It's so simplistic. It's like we make everything so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I buy more leads? Truth of the matter is, you have the leads. They're called your relationships.
Yeah, you don't have a lead problem. You have a schedule and database problem.
Say that again.
You don't have a lead problem. I've never met an agent who has a lead problem. They have a database and schedule problem. Okay,
so let's take it one more notch, Coach Jeanne. What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot of people in every city, and in every city in America, people are buying or selling. They're just not necessarily doing it with you because you don't have a relationship with them. So the more relationships that we build, the more we add to our database, the more we like you've said, deposit and keep coming from contribution to them, the less of a lead problem you're going to have. You're going to have the relationships, and those are the people that they already know, love, and trust you. They're way more likely to give you that referral or give you that repeat business. Yeah. And then you just have to make sure it's being done, which means you got to follow a schedule. Do you actually have a winning schedule? And here's another thing that I don't like hearing. I'm just going to do my lead generation first thing in the morning so I can eat the frog. I'm like, this could be one of the most fun, exciting things that you do all day long because you're building relationships. You're hanging out with people that you like, and they actually like you. So maybe if we just change the way that we look at things, the things we look at change.
Change the way you look at things, the things that look at change. I've got an agent in Asheville. She'll see this, I'm sure, Athena, and she built a 10 million plus business.
Yep.
No real estate experience. She is social.
Yeah.
It's all relationship.
All relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's not just social media relationship. That's a plus to it. That's a great thing to have in addition, but you got to pick up the phone and talk to people. So on that, here's another thing that one of the things that drives me a little crazy. You do get a new lead, and rather than picking up the phone and calling them, you send them an email or a text message. Hey, I saw that you were on my website. Give me a call when it's convenient for you. Well, they weren't on your website because they don't want to talk to somebody, or they didn't push a button to reach out to you because they don't want to talk to you. Right. Now you've put the problem back on them again. Now they have to pick up the phone to call you. Well, if you're going to if you're going to be the person to solve their problems, you got to pick up the phone. Ooh, I gotta stop on that. Okay, so when someone reaches out, if someone's a lead and you want to be the person that solves a problem, the first thing you can do is solve their problem. Yeah. They were looking at houses, and if you mess around and don't reach out, you've proved to them that you're not a problem solver. Right. And you've also told them that you're not that important to them, that it's just kind of inconvenient for you right now by putting the responsibility back on them. call me when you have a moment. No, you call them now. Because the other thing is, if they're shopping around and they're pushing buttons and I'm interested in this property, your button is not the only one they're pushing.
That's so simplistic, but I've never thought of it that that's your first job interview is I reached out to you. Now you're going to throw it back on me and ask me to reach out to you again.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought about that. All right. So we had databases. So are your people actually using a smart plan or whatever you want to call it, a follow-up plan, or like, what are you seeing in actual practice with these big teams?
I'm seeing that they're actually putting people on a minimum of a 36 touch.
Really?
A minimum.
Okay.
There's some people that are doing like 60, 70 touches a year. And so, but we're not just inundating them with email, look at me, this is what I've done, look at what we've done. But they're very intentional. They actually have a plan and they've got it on their GPS of how often they're going to communicate with their database and what they're going to communicate about. And asking for the business. I mean, I love Mike Hick's approach. Over 97% of his business was all repeat and referral business one year because they use the promise script and they train everybody on their team the promise script. And then they also train their friends and family, their database on actually how to give referrals.
So 97%, and I don't want you to repeat it verbatim, but what is the gist of the promise script?
It's promising to deliver 5-star service. And at any time that we're not delivering that, you've got permission to tell us that. How can we get better? And so we're going to check in with you from time to time. Anybody you talk to on our team, they're going to ask you how we doing. And if there's something we can change, we want to change it immediately. And now if we give you that 5-star business, the thing that we would ask for in return is in the event that you have a friend, a family member, a neighbor, somebody from church or kids' school, whatever, that they have a real estate need, we just appreciate if you'd send them our way. Reach out to me, give me their contact information with permission to contact them, and we'll take care of them at the same 5-star level service that we took care of you.
So not waiting till they're satiated, like they've closed and they're like, oh, thank goodness that over. You're talking about nurturing the relationship continually through the process. This is what we're focused on. And I'm going to make sure that if I veer off course, that you have a commitment to me to put me back on course, because this is where I want to be a 5-star agent.
Yeah. And Mike Hick's team, they started at the listing or the buyer meeting, the buyer consult or the listing consult. That's when they deliver their promise script.
At the meeting, the consult.
At the consult. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And then how often are they reaching out to do that? Anytime they talk to them, or?
I think it's every time that they talk to them, but they also make sure that, when we take the listing, we've set the promise script. If a listing manager follows up, hey, I know that Jeff talked to you about our promise script. Just want to see how we're doing so far. Anything that we could be doing different? Because here's the thing. If they have to call you, they're calling because it's a problem. Our clients don't call us to say, hey, I just wanted to let you know things are going really, really smooth right now and you guys are crushing it. So if we're constantly asking them, is there anything we can do different? They will tell us and we can make a midstream correction so that by the time that we're finished with their transactions, they're now our raving fans.
I love that. So I always give other people credit rather than you, but someone told me if somebody asks a question, you're too late.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's the gist of what you're saying. When they come to you, you've already missed.
If you talk to them, if you reach out to them, it's a 5-minute conversation. If they have to call you, it's a 20-minute problem.
Oh, that's good. It's a 5-minute conversation. If you reach out to them, you're right though. I'm thinking about it in my head. You're absolutely right. It's 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want time back, that's the easiest way to do it.
That's right.
Don't give them an extra 15 minutes.
That's right. So you should have time in your calendar every day. You're doing lead generation, take a break, do lead follow-up, and then call your current clients, check in. How are we doing? Anything that we could do differently?
All right. So I didn't have you on the call to tell me everything we already knew. Is it really that simple?
It's really that simple. It's, I love what Gary Keller said one time. The reason that so many agents are not being successful is because they think that the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is a suggestion rather than a plan.
That's true.
If you just actually run the plays, just the plays are already, we have a playbook. If you just run the plays, you're going to win the game.
But it's outdated.
Show me the page where it's outdated, and I will personally, I've got Gary's personal cell phone number and email address, and I will reach out to him and let him know.
Yeah, you'll
I
let
hear
him
that
know?
all the time. Here's what I hear, Jeff. This is great. Oh, door knocking is old and nobody does that anymore. It's outdated. You can't do that during COVID. Bob Lucido puts on a tie and a suit every day and goes out and still door knocks for his team. And they do over 2,000 transactions every year. It's not outdated. You've just decided that for some reason, because it makes you a little uncomfortable or you don't know what you'd say, things like that, get back to the basics. And once you've mastered the basics, then you can add that creativity to it. It's that triangle that Gary draws every time. Is just, you got to start with the basics and earn the right to start to get creative with it. And there are very few agents that I've ever come across that have actually mastered the basics. But boy, do they like to get creative.
Oh my gosh, this is the same way our coaching calls went. You just annoy me by telling me simple stuff and ask me if I was going to do it or not. So I appreciate you being consistent. What you were telling me, you have a coaching client or former coaching client that was doing luxury mailings.
Yeah.
And started to see big success with that. So I want to wrap this up because I want people to attach to, if you can just share, I don't need specifics, but kind of talk about what he did and how that changed his business, because it was crazy. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. So his name is Michael. He's out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And when he came into my coaching schedule, I actually took him on because he was a cousin of somebody else that I was coaching, and he was flailing and he just came over to Keller Williams, and I kind of did it as a favor. And we started looking at his profit and what's happening with that. And it was not awesome. But what we did find is, what is his sweet spot? And he's so natural and so good with luxury. And so we really started to focus on luxury and made a plan to, we're going to start to do some big spend, but we know that it's actually going to pay off. So he started targeting expired luxury listings in the Dallas area. Okay. And actually created a video mailer that he sends to their house in a gold bubble, those bubble wrap envelopes. Yeah. Open it up, and it's got a video of a luxury video of him and his team showing luxury properties, what they've been able to do as a result. He sends out about 100 of those every other week. And for every 100 he sends out, he typically gets anywhere from 2 to 4 expired listings out of every one of those. And so, when I'm talking about luxury, a low price point for him would be $1 million. But he's gotten like an $8 million expired listing that he took by just focusing. He's got one focus. I'm going to master luxury. And he does not work with any clients who are not at $1 million plus.
All right, hold on. You just said he sends a video in an envelope, which doesn't work in most people's mind.
Right.
So you're talking about like an LCD screen or some kind of presentation.
Yep.
So what's a landed cost on something like that? I'm just curious, like investment wise versus what he's seeing in return.
Yeah, he's got his costs down to, it's coming out to for him right around his whole marketing plan for people. It's about $15 per person.
Okay.
And
nice.
So he's going to spend 15 maybe on, let's just say 100 people and get 4 listings out of that
over $1 million.
That are $1 million. We're okay with that spend. So we watch his profit go from negative to over 25% in less than 12 months.
So for somebody that can't afford to send $115, I mean, that's big money. And it's that fear of ROI, right?
Right. Well, and you should lead with revenue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But if you can't do that, you can do something. So just, but don't take the shotgun approach of, I'm going to try this and this and this and this. Make a commitment. What is the client? Who are you looking for to build relationships with? Who are what are the listings that you actually want? And then focus your attention and your spend on those to guarantee that you're actually going to get a return later.
That's awesome. Whoa. All right. Well, that's fancy. That is something. So that's the luxury listings. All right. I think timing wise, let's keep it quick. Question I always ask: What are you reading?
Right now I've got Radical Candor,
Okay.
People Over Profit, and Winning.
People over profit
Mhm.
and winning.
Yeah, Radical Candor by Kim Scott. That's a great book for everyone because it's really knowing how to kind of come with care and candor, but being able to tell people the truth, but in such a way that it actually lands really well and you're not just being a jerk. And then Winning is just, I mean, that's just, I'm reading that one for the second time because that one, Tim Grover, he's just, he's going to kick you around with anything.
Steel-toed boots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then People Over Profit is Dale Partridge, I believe is his last name. And that's focusing on the people versus focusing just on the profit. So I always focus, that's my thing is profit. But
Yep.
when you take care of your people are going to take care of your business. Grow your people and they will grow your business.
Yeah. Alexis, who I know you coached last week, she recommended the book, The Go-Giver.
Yeah.
And it's the same concept. It's Simon Sinek. Help others get what they want, you get what you want. That keeps showing up.
Mhm.
Just in our Asheville Market Center, I had Hannah say something last week, and she's like, it's crazy. The more we pour into things, it just comes right back. And I think it's just, we just keep seeing evidence of that. And that probably ties back into the relationship thing. You said deliver a deposit before you ask for a withdrawal. The more we can just give. You told me something when we first started coaching. You won't remember this, but you'll laugh. You said that no one owed me as far as using me as an agent.
Right.
But that is the biggest misconception that we go into. It's like, you're my best friend. Why didn't you use me? The truth of the matter is I perceive that the value you would give me is less than the value of the person I went with. Nobody says that, but that's what it is. So that's stuck with me because everybody feels entitled. It's my neighbor. Why wouldn't they use me? Well, because they don't know you, relationship, right? And they don't know you enough to know you're a market expert. I had a class last week and 30 people in the room. And I said, how many houses hit the market today? One person in the class said 3. 29 people in that class had no idea how many houses hit the market that day.
Yeah.
So I love that. So build the relationships and be an expert. That's good.
Because here's the perception of the general public, Jeff, is that all real estate agents are created equal. So as long as you have a real estate license, you can help me to buy or sell my house.
Yeah.
So we have to educate our database that we're actually experts in this. We're the local experts. We are your information. Otherwise, well, I decided to go with, my dog groomer's brother's cousin, because she just got her license and I just want to give her a win.
Yeah.
That's shame on me for that, because I didn't explain to them previously in building that relationship how important it is to have a market expert, a real estate expert doing this, not just somebody who does this as a side gig.
That's right. I love that. All right. So let's, so thank you for that. That's all great stuff. So I heard database, I heard relationship. What else? Oh, schedule. You mentioned a little bit of lead gen.
Profit.
Radical candor, right? People over profit. And winning is the books.
Yep.
Right. And then you mentioned 3 classes, the profit camps, MAPS model, and coaches skill camp. I know profit camp's coming because we've already booked you.
Right.
Right. And you're coming to Greenville. Is that right?
Yep. Live and in person.
Live and in person. And we've got a big venue with we'll have lasers and smoke and anything else I can do to embarrass you. Where would somebody sign up for that? I will send the link out. I know we have one at the Market Center and it's already been sent out once, but I'll send that out. Is there anything else they need to do to prepare for that? For profit camp? Like what does somebody bring?
You don't need to bring anything. Well, bring your phones because because you have a calculator on your phone and people are going to have to do that. But we're going to have the curriculum there for you. We'll have notebooks there for everybody with all of the pages in it and stuff. So you just need to come prepared to change the way that you're looking at business, because we're really going to focus on profit versus production, but we'll show you in there to hit your profit numbers. This is what you need to do in production.
Okay, so I'm not an accountant. This is a
Right.
loaded question because I've been to this class,
Mhm.
but I didn't want to go
I know.
because when you said profit camp, what I saw was spreadsheets in my head, and I'm not an accountant. I don't want to be an accountant.
Mhm.
I want to go sell houses and help people and do that. So how would you explain how you bottle that? Because it's dumbed down is what I like to say, because I was like, oh, this makes sense. But like, what's the way that you've packaged that? Because it's not a spreadsheet.
No, and this is not agent financials. This is profit camp. So just to kind of really narrow it down for you, we're going to focus on what do you want out of your life, which means you need to have a profit to pay for that.
Yep.
What are your personal expenses? What are your business expenses? Now, based on that, we've already figured out what's it going to take for you to have a life worth living. Now let's pay for your personal business expenses. And then we reverse engineer that to figure out, okay, well, based on that, this is how many transactions you're going to need to close this year.
So instead of just burning yourself out and trying to get as many transactions as you can, you're going to create a margin that makes sense.
Mhm.
Be really intentional about it.
Yeah.
That's used to tell me time in would give me time out, like schedule your lead gen or know your numbers. Once you hit them, take a break.
Yeah.
Give yourself that
We've
time.
got a lot of success stories through Profit Camp also. You know, we have one gal that went through it a couple of times and she started implementing everything that we teach in Profit Camp. And as a result, she was able to buy her first house ever, and it was a $750,000 house. Because
Really?
she actually implemented the things that we were training.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's awesome. So thank you for being here. So you'll come do Profit Camp. I don't have the date on me, but it's
March
been out
10th.
to everybody. March 10th.
March 10th.
Okay. And that'll be super fun. So I encourage everybody to sign up for that. And then thanks for taking some time. It was awesome.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay.